Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Radio Check. So as you can see, I'm still in the same outfit from yesterday. I'm not afraid to admit
Trash.
it. I'm ill. There was a fire alarm at 2 a.m. It's allowed. It's the thing that's gonna happen. Okay. Deadline season is upon us. That's what happens when we're not organized for this podcast and we have to film episodes months in advance. But today we're going to be talking all things Mexico and Brazil, which will then lead us on to Abu Dhabi. So we're almost there, almost got up. But I feel like the biggest thing that happened over both weekends was Max obviously getting the not the world championship, he's got a world championship for that, but he got the new world record, or the new is it a world record or is it just a record? I think it's just a record.
I think it's just a record.
Yeah, just a record.
It's called record of them. The record for the highest amount of wins in a season. So I think he was on par with Schumacher and Vettel when he got 13 in Mexico, and then when he won in Abu Dhabi, he then has the most now, or did he get the most in Mexico?
I think it was in Mexico he got the most.
Yeah. I'm gonna check myself because I'm not 100% sure.
So I think in Abu Dhabi it was just like, oh, you're the world champion, woohoo! Like, clarify he was the world champion in the last race. Like, just so we can re-celebrate it again, you know.
Oh, I did celebrate it. No, 14. So technically he equaled Vettel and Schumacher in Mexico with 13, and then you got the most being won in Abu Dhabi. So, you know, considering everyone's hitting on Max Verstappen and Red Bull, are any of your drivers winning? Any of your drivers, you know, beating records? I don't think so.
Don't hurt my feelings. With my McLaren, don't hurt my feelings.
I mean, I'm just going to bring up that Lewis Hamilton has 7 titles, Max has 2.
Yeah, but how long did it take him to get those 7 compared to Max's 2, and how many more is Max going to get compared to Lewis's 2?
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
Lando for world champion.
Lando Norris is not going to be champion in some time, Hayley, so you're going to have
to. In a McLaren, he's not. Not in the McLaren.
For a while. No. I just think it shows how much, how much Red Bull and Max have dominated this year. Like, the likes of Vettel and Schumacher, like that was it probably in the, I don't remember, I wasn't watching it back then, in bloody Schumacher and Vettel days. I was probably not even walking at that point, but like that must have been like a really serious thing, because obviously they had less races in the season, it was hard to get points, blah blah blah, and like I just feel like this is the start of the Red Bull domination period, and I'm very happy about it. You're not, but I'm loving it.
I'm not, no.
But I do feel like it just shows the work that Red Bull and Max have put in, because it's not just Max who won the championship, because if Max didn't have the fast car, he wouldn't have, you know, got the points, got the finishes, got the wins. And the same with Red Bull, if they didn't have Max, they wouldn't have the wins or the everything else. So I feel like it's a two-way street, and they both did really well, and I'm very happy for them both. And yeah, I feel like that's all I remember from Mexico, if I'm not gonna lie to you, just Max winning the record.
No, I don't remember anything. I feel like Mexico was just like chill.
Yeah, I feel like obviously Checo on the podium, and like the cute moment after with his kids was just adorable. I loved that.
Oh yeah.
The cameraman showing me that. It was like midnight or no, it was like a daytime race for us, wasn't it? It was like 5 or 6 o'clock. I was in bed at this point anyway, watching it from bed, I'm pretty sure. But as well, I remember them booing Lewis, the fans booing Lewis, and Checo was like, stop. And I was like, see, you all think that like every driver.
Oh yeah. He's like,
yeah, you all think that every driver hates each other, but I feel like every driver supports every other driver.
Yeah, even like Checo's dad was hugging both
Yeah.
Lewis and Lewis, because I think Lewis's dad was there as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
he was hugging Lewis's dad. Like,
The
I think
cute
someone
thing.
who hated Lewis would not be hugging Lewis's dad. So obviously they like each other.
Yeah, but I think Perez's dad would hug anyone that wanted to
Oh
hug
yeah,
him.
I want a Perez dad hug.
But I don't really remember Mexico. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't
No.
remember Mexico.
Well,
feel
going
like-
into the weekend, we had 2 plays free penalties for K-Mag, who had 5, and then Stroll with 3. I can't quite remember what the penalties were for. I would assume like an engine component or something.
See, my thing with taking NGO penalties that late in the season is you have 3 races left. You have Mexico, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. So you're going to use it for Mexico, then it's going to be like okay for Brazil, and then it's going to. Why are you taking it so late in the season? Take it 4 races towards the end. Makes sense. Not 3. What's the point? It's going to be gone in three races time. You've wasted money. Could have gone to next year's car. So how's that going to be fast next year?
I'm trying to like go back through my Instagram highlights to find out if there was anything.
Hulk is back, which I'm
I
happy
don't
about, but
think so.
that didn't obviously happen in the Mexico weekend. I don't actually remember what happened in Mexico. I just
It
remember
was
that-
Charles's 100th Grand Prix start, if that counts as anything, in
I mean-
Mexico.
the figure. It's a figure. But I don't know if there's anything else.
Oh,
There's
Danny
2
got driver of the
incidences.
day.
Oh yeah, let's do the Danny. Danny.
Oh yeah, because
situation.
Danny, who did he knock out? He knocked somebody
Yuki.
out.
So he knocked
Yuki,
Yuki
and then-
Tsunoda out, which I don't agree with Daniel getting a penalty for that. Let me just refer.
Yeah, he
that.
got 10
Okay.
seconds for that. 10 seconds.
How we can have drivers going off track and literally gaining positions. We can have drivers making other drivers airborne, but because Daniel slightly crashed into Yuki Tsunoda, you're like 10 seconds. You hate
Yeah,
it.
but then
I
he
hate
still
you,
got
okay?
7th. He like
Yeah.
bolted it through,
But
and he
like
was like zoom, zoom, zoom.
from that
got
point,
7th.
Danny literally went from like place to place to place. He was overtaking like 7 cars. I think he overtook both Alpines at one point. I was like, who the fuck is this man and where has he been all fucking season? I genuinely do think, because I think at that point McLaren had announced that Daniel was leaving.
Mm.
I think it was then they announced it, or like around about then.
Yeah.
I think it was then Danny just being like, this is it. It's over, guys. And I
He had
think
nothing to lose at that point. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and I think he finally could take a breath and realize that not all these eyes are watching him, and like he had to do this. This was a bit of fun for him.
Sorry, I'm just looking back through my Instagram because like I always post things on my Instagram from like the thing, and I think it must have been in like FP1. I think De Vries was out, and Carlos was like, De Vries was like on an outlap. He's like, "What, De Vries?" Like,
Oh,
what
Debris.
I think that's
Debris
going to
on
be
track.
I think that's going to be quite funny next year though to see that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I feel like with Danny, it was just a point where he knew it was all over. He could just relax, have some fun, crash into a few people because he don't need to get a license next year.
Yeah.
Drive as erratically as he wanted to, and I think he did show that he still has the ability. Like he's not gone away. I just think McLaren, for whatever reason, have dampened Mr. Ricciardo's spirits, and I dislike Zach Brown for that. But it's not just Zach Brown. It's not that.
Millie, make your mind up. Do you like Zach Brown or not?
No. I'm saying it's not just Zach. I'm saying there's a team of people and Daniel and the environment, McLaren. So we don't hate Zach Brown. We dislike Zach Brown's decisions. But I also dislike how it happened to Daniel. And I think the PR team and McLaren could have handled it in a different way. But we're not going to go there because that's for every other episode we film this year. We're just hating on McLaren. But no, I think it shows that. And I also think it's really cool that Max and Daniel did really well on the same weekend. Like I think Max are all back together. I think at that point they do. Yeah, I don't really know anything else that happened in Mexico. Kira can tell us if anything else happened in Mexico.
There was like another incident on lap 13 between Gasly and Stroll, where Gasly got a 5-second penalty. He locked up and ran Stroll wide.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember this.
I remember that.
It wasn't that eventful, but it was an incident that occurred.
It was an instance that's going in the episode.
Yep.
It crashed, it's going in. Anything else, Kira? Because Kira just has our notes.
I do. Lap 65, Alonso was out with mechanical issues.
Oh my god, this was so funny to me because he disrespected Lewis just before the didn't he? And he was like dissing Lewis, being really rude. And then for him to just crash out when his car just stopped, I was like, calm as a bitch. And I was like,
Mhm.
I love it. I love it. It's like we're back at the school playground. It was just beefing each other. Like it was so funny to me when he stopped to the track. I think I was like, Alonso, what?
Sorry, he fell off my chair.
How did
I
you
was looking
fall
at
off your
this
chair?
candle. I was looking at this candle that's next to me because it looked like something, not the candle itself, but a bit on the candle was on fire. And then I was looking at it and I went too far. And it was like, oh,
God.
you'll just hear a clunk. They'll be like, where's Haley gone? It's just on the
But
floor.
no, I think the Alonso thing is very much like karma driven. I think everyone remembers that moment as like karma for him because it's like you kind of like dug yourself this little hole by saying that Lewis's titles weren't worthy or something, like that Max's championships are basically more worthy than Lewis's. And then I think for like Lewis just like pushed him into this little hole of desperation, him just crashing out, and it was the funniest thing. And I think that was the highlight of the Mexican. Like there was so much happened at the Mexico Grand Prix, but nothing happened.
Mm,
Do you see what I mean?
yeah.
There were so many things, but so many no things. No what? That doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'm losing the will to live here.
Oh, no.
Kira, anything else?
Not really. That was about it. In Q2, taking it back a little bit, there was 40,000 a second between Hamilton, Sainz, Russell, and Max.
Oh yeah.
That was mad.
I think that's crazy. Like, I feel like this season as well. I was going to talk about it at the end of the review, but I feel like we can talk about a bit about it now. I feel like this is the only moment that we'd seen cars be close together. Like at no other point over the whole of the F1 season this year have I seen two cars be close together, and for an extended period of time. Like we were promised close racing, we were promised cars being really close, we were promised like a ton of different things to happen. Nothing happened, and I was like, you've lied to me, FIA. You have lied to me. They scammed me out of my money. Scammed me. I was furious with them. I feel like that shows the cars are capable of being close together. But like that was the only instance we've seen all season of happening. And why are you lying for, FIA? Why are you lying? Scammed. I've been frauded. Talking of being frauded, I was frauded my predictions. Just talking to Kira about this earlier. I made predictions at the beginning of this season, which you can find on my blog. And I made some pretty wild predictions, considering we were meant to get closer racing and like unpredictable races. I predicted Williams to win a race. Didn't happen in a stretch of the imagination. I predicted that Red Bull
Could have happened with the closest you got was K-Mag on pole. That was it.
That's not even Williams, that's Haas.
Just ignore me.
But obviously that didn't happen. Then we got what was the other one? It was that the Red Bulls and Mercedes would win the championship. So like another team outside of that like top 10 would win. Which again didn't happen. Red Bull won the constructors. I think I thought at this point Ferrari were gonna win the constructors or something. I don't know why. I think at the like this was before the season started, can I say? This was after pre-season testing. I think I need to fact check myself. I'm pretty sure I made them after testing. So at this point, like there were a lot of things happening. So I then predicted that Daniel Ricciardo would be fighting with George Russell for a World Drivers' Championship. I don't know what possessed me. Like, I don't know what confidence in testing made me think this was going to be a thing. But apparently, I assumed that Daniel was going to be within.
I think in testing, the McLaren was fast.
Which is what made me think it.
Yeah.
And then they bring it the fucking far end and it's the slowest thing on the track.
Yeah. And then Lando was like, yeah, we're not going to be on any podiums anytime soon.
Yeah. And I think that's when my podium chances went down. And then I think I said a midfield team was going to get a 1-2, which I think the only 1-2 we've had all year has been a Red Bull 1-2.
No, we had a Ferrari 1-2. I think the first race of the season was Ferrari 1-2, wasn't it?
Because you've had a Ferrari and a Red Bull 1-2, but neither of them Red Bull midfield teams, so we're not counting that.
Oh.
And then that's 4 predictions, isn't it? What was my last one?
I don't know.
I think I made like a really funny prediction for my last one, and I can't. If I find it, I'll talk about it in the next episode. But I just think it was wild how we went from like Daniel winning a world championship to like Alex Albon winning a race with Williams. Like, I feel like the FA promised us the world this year, and we're like,
no, K-Mag.
They were like, you're gonna have like all this stuff, closer racing, like good racing, fun racing. Give us none of that. They literally delivered on like none of their promises, and not gonna lie to them, I'm furious because I wanted more personally, FIA. I wanted more. You scammed me out of that, and I'm
Lol.
to that.
Lol.
But I'm gonna be making more predictions for this year. Probably they won't be realistic. It's more fun to make them unrealistic because then when they happen, I'm like, I told you. But I think I don't know what to say. I feel like Mercedes might actually have a chance of winning Constructors' Championship next year.
Wait,
what?
I'm
Yeah,
liking that.
because I think
Okay.
obviously they had like a really good run of form from pretty much Mexico to the end of the season. No, from before, because George won in. Where did George win? George win in Brazil.
Yeah.
Obviously, George wins Brazil, but they have like a really good run of form from Mexico basically onwards, and I feel like they've understood something within their car. They've understood like a major component within how to make their car fast and like competitive. So I feel like going into next year, Mercedes might have the upper hand because no other teams could seem to like. I don't know if they're understanding something, they can develop that. Whereas I feel like other teams are still really far behind in their development. Williams. Come with me. Podiums, okay. George Russell managed to get a podium. Alex Albon, where's yours? Alex, I'm looking at you. I love you, Alex, but I was promised a podium and I got nada. And with Logan in the seat next to him, there's going to be no podiums coming their way. But I did see someone on Twitter last night, which Twitter is not a valuable source of information. But they said they feel like Sargent may become another Latifi.
Yes. I agree.
And I don't want to disrespect new drivers because I feel like fair enough, you made your way into the sport. We discussed this yesterday and in the last episode, obviously about Sargent becoming another paid driver and things like that. But I don't want him to become another Latifi, but I can see it because if he kind of is a paid driver. He's not really won anything for a few years. He's not really won any races in F2 or F3 in the previous years. Whenever he's in the car, he kind of spins or crashes out or has to he's never really up there, like up in the standings. And I'm seeing Latifi and I don't want it for them. But I kind of hope it happens so that then they can like get someone good in, aka Felipe Drugovich, who actually deserves an F1 seat. We'll just bring Hulk back to them. Hulk can trade from us. Bring Hulk in. But like Yeah, I just feel like, I don't know. We've gone off on a tangent here.
Yeah.
Went from Mexico to my predictions to Logan Sargent again. But I feel like that rounds up Mexico talk because,
Yeah.
as we said, there was stuff happening, but there wasn't a lot happening.
Mm.
It's only right to talk Brazil and Mr. George
Ooh.
Russell's Mr. Saturday,
Dirty
although
boy.
now Mr. Sunday, his first win, which
Mr.
I think
Russell
was just,
George.
it was a masterclass. I'm not gonna lie to you. It really was a masterclass on how to drive that Mercedes-Benz car. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
it was superb. It was everything I wanted in a George Russell win, and I loved it. I loved every second. I was like so
Before
happy.
we get into actually Brazil, it was a sprint weekend. And
Yes.
I don't think we've actually discussed like our opinions on sprint weekend. So I just want to get everyone's opinion on them if we think it's done what they've promised to do and whatnot.
I feel like it.
I don't think I watched the sprint because I was in London that weekend to watch the F1 anyway. But then I wasn't watching the sprint on the Saturday. We only all met up on the Sunday to watch it, so I didn't see it.
I feel like the sprint has delivered in ways because like it's given us some really cool like winners. Like K-Mag was obviously on pole for the sprint, which I don't think would have happened given it a normal weekend. And we obviously had Daniel Ricciardo last year winning the sprint and going on to win the Monza Grand Prix. And it usually is the winner of the sprint wins the race. Usually, I believe every winner of the sprint has won the race, from what I believe. So I feel like it has, but also at the same time, because teams aren't being given as long to prepare, we're given some really weird like sprint winners. And then when it comes to Sunday, I just don't really see how it's working because I feel like with K-Mag, he got the win in the sprint, but then couldn't convert it to the win in the race because it was so difficult. It's so difficult in the sprint to stay ahead if you don't have a really fast car. So I feel like there does need to be some regulation changes, maybe like a drop in power. Like the bigger teams get less fuel or less tires or less, I don't know, they have to add more weight to their car or something. Like just something to make the smaller teams who have less pace like be in with a chance. Otherwise we're just seeing Mercedes and Red Bull win again and again and again. And I'm, as much as I love Max Verstappen for winning everything, I'm bored of it. I was bored of Mercedes winning everything. I'm bored now Max is winning everything. And I think if the sprint needs to carry on, because I think it does, it makes it interesting. But I think it does need to be some rule changes so that we don't see the same people winning the sprint every week or every time it happens. And also I don't get these whole like medal situation. They look weird. I can never find a picture of the top three from the sprint either. I can never find a picture online of the top three from the sprint. So they're my three things that the FIA needs to sort out with the sprint. What do you think, Kira?
He really gave it to them then. He's like, you got to change this, and this. Do it now.
Did you hear they're planning 10 sprint races next year?
That's a lot.
How many was it? 10.
10. And we have.
I didn't think it was true. 10.
No, 10.
That's like half.
I thought, how many did we have this year? Just
4?
3. Only 3. I thought it was going up to like 8 or something.
Or I thought 6. I read 6. Yeah.
So I think some of there's been 3, 4, 6, 9, and 8. No, 6, 8, and 10. And then someone said 20. And I swear to God, if I see 20 sprint races in the calendar next year, I ain't gonna be happy. Okay.
You're like, excuse me, are you messing up the is it F3 and F2 that do sprint races every time?
Yeah, but those sprint races are good. Like the FIA F2 and F3 know how to do
because I feel like it's good for them to do sprint races because then it mixes up because they've got a larger grid. They've got like, is it 24 drivers or 30?
30.
30.
No, they don't have 30. That was a lie.
That's a lot.
Because they've only got 2 drivers per teams. F3 have 30. F2 have... Yeah, so every F3 team has 3 drivers and every F2 team has 2 drivers.
Oh, yeah.
So I can never fully
Two
know the F3 grid. Like I'm always so lost with the F3
drivers.
because there are so many fucking
there?
drivers.
22 F2 drivers.
But even then, like not the same few people win every sprint weekend. And I
No,
feel
but then I
like,
think they do reverse. Isn't it reverse grid?
yeah, but that's what I
after the
think we
sprint
should
race?
do. Why can't we do that?
Yeah,
Why can't we
they should
reverse
bring
the
that to
top 10?
F1.
Like,
That would be fun.
wouldn't that be fun? Hamilton, Verstappen at the back, they've got a ton of fucking fuel on their cars. Their car's really heavy and hard to like plod around. We could just take the brake ducts out of their cars and see who wins.
Wee!
Just, I don't know. I feel like they need to find a way to spice it up and bring some more like entertainment to it. Because I think without the other entertainment element, it's a bit samey. It is though. They brought it for like innovation and to make the race weekends more interesting, but it's the same thing weekend in, weekend out with the sprint. So I feel like if they want to change it, you got to change the whole system. And that's just
talking about that. Do you guys follow Lizzie McIntosh on social media? Did you see a TikTok when she was talking about the like anti or like reverse DRS that could potentially happen?
Yes, I've seen a lot of people talk about this.
That would spice it up.
It's meant to be. So Haley's what I know what I'm talking about. I'll give my best description, or if Kira can give a better description, she can give a description. But apparently it's not to speed you up, it's to slow you down. So it's meant to like increase the drag on your car, I think.
Okay.
So like it's meant to like when you open it or when it opens itself, it's meant to like slow the cars down. So aka Max, Charles, Carlos, George, Hamilton, all of those six get slowed down. And then like Lando Norris comes home to win. I don't know. But I also don't know how they'd make that work. How would you implement a reverse DRS? And also, how much is that going to weigh? How much will that cost? Are we going to go over cost budgets again? Are we going to get more budgets to the bigger teams because they need it to build these systems? Like, I just feel like if it happens, we need to understand more what it is, because it's only speculation right now. So obviously that we don't actually know if it's a real thing. But I just think that is a bit stupid. But also I want to see it. Such I hate the idea. Let me see it.
I don't think it's going to happen, but like it's a very interesting concept.
Yes.
So we'll see if it happens. But I think there was like on about introducing it in like 2026 if they do confirm it. So we still have like a long time to wait.
I want to see it on a prototype car, maybe like test out a few cars. But I think it's interesting. This is going to sound really geeky of me. But obviously when I work with the former student boys at uni, I talk to them about like racing, and obviously like they're interested in cars and mechanics, and I'm interested in like, ooh, car goes fast. The best I can do, like, oh, engine, what's it called? Petrol goes in here, car goes, boom, change the gear here. That's about as much as my knowledge goes. So when I say to them like, oh, would this work? They're like, what are you on about? And I think it's so interesting to hear like how engineers come up with this stuff. Like, how have we gone from reducing drag to introducing drag? How? Like, how do you even know what the prototype of this thing? And then like when we see new front wings, new back wings, new side pods, my brain struggles to understand how someone has gone, let me just curve it this way so it works better. How? Explain. I don't get it. I think it's F1 engineers and engineers in general, very cool people. And I think especially F1 engineers, because obviously they've got to come up with the fastest car on the grid. They're not just thinking of the fastest, I don't know, the fastest way for your washing machine to finish loading or something. I don't know. Like they're coming up with how to build a car that can go like 200 miles an hour plus. I just think very interesting profession to get into, not something I'll be getting into, because I've taken one look at some of these boys who's like, they have like these whole sheets and like it's full of just equations, and like they always have a calculator. Like they're not stuck to their phone like
that. I can't do no maths.
No, neither.
That's why I work with kids.
It's
I don't have
crazy,
to
man.
count to 10.
I could just about do simple equations. I had to do a BMW competency test for a placement year for them, and there was a ton of maths. Like you had to like figure out this pie chart and like how to do this and that. And I was like, am I doing a maths degree? What? Obviously, they're like, hello, the engineers, correct? That's they need it, but I'm doing marketing here. I need to work out pie chart and how much is what percent. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's just me that finds it really cool that like these people can design these cars that go so fast and like they do it with such speed as well. Like remember, F1 engineers have to get it done basically every other weekend. They've got to create new parts to the car, I don't know, they have to just create new things for the car every weekend to make sure that car is then like getting better and better and better. So I think it's just, I don't know. I find it very interesting. We'll get an engineer on here one day to talk to us about engineering.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
We'll all be confused and lost together.
Like, how do you make a car? Please tell us.
There is a book called How to Build an F1 Car by Adrian Newey. So I have seen the book. It is about 400 pages.
Mate, I ain't got no time to read that.
But like, I think as well, F1 do a really good job. So F1 TV particularly, because that's how I watch F1. F1 TV have some really good ways to explain how to like how things work. So they normally have like a tech thing. I think it's I can't remember what it's called. It's tech something on their on f1tv.com. And you can find them and they talk all things tech. So they talk like how petrol goes into a car and makes a car move, how this goes into a car and makes a car move, what the barge board of the bottom does to the car, like things like that. I think it's just so interesting. Never thought of it. Never really wanted to know anything about it. But now you're introducing it to me. I want to know. And like, I don't know, maybe I'm just fangirling too much, but I think it's important for people to be able to understand what happens in the sport, even if it's just on a basic level. How does petrol go into a car? How does a car move? How do aerodynamics work? How do wings work? How does this extra component on wing work? How does the extra 30 pounds? I don't know. How does weight affect a car? How does driver affect the car? I think they're very, very interesting things that people should learn about F1 when you get into the sport, because you can then like you have more of a critical mind over the matter. And yeah, I do sit here day after day looking at the wings going, oh, it's very interesting. Oh, one's gonna go, oh. I think I don't know if I should do something better with my time. But that is what I do with my time. I sit here, analyze front wings and analyze back wings and analyze like side pods and all that stuff. And then F1 teams try and sell me £60 merch because I get returned for this work. We've got off topic again. We've gone very off topic again. Right, meeting's gonna end, so just rejoin, but we'll wrap it up because I don't feel like there's much else to talk about. I don't really know if there's anything else from Brazil.
Quite a lot happened, to be honest.
No, I feel like we might just wrap it up. Maybe give I don't know. Hold on. I'm just gonna sit here and say because I can't be
I'm singing.
Like we are back and I think we're gonna finish Brazil talking. Kira obviously has our notes. I do have notes on most races, but I don't know where mine are gone, so we're relying on Kira to give us all the information on the lowdown.
That's a lot of pressure.
Haley, just to wait.
Pressure.
You have the notes, so you can't do anything wrong there.
Well, this is.
I was tipsy, so I don't know what was going on. I was drinking cocktails.
I just saw an orange car. I went, ooh.
No, I was crying when there was an orange car because both the McLarens crashed out, didn't they?
Okay, well, I guess we're starting there. Then. Guess we're starting there. I don't actually know how either driver crashed out. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think I remember watching the Brazilian Grand Prix. So if someone could tell
No,
me
I
how
don't
Nico
remember
Rosberg
how.
crashed.
I think Danny went into somebody.
Oh, Danny crashed into
Yeah.
K-Mag, and I was
K-Mag.
sad.
Yes, but I don't know what. I can't remember what happened to Lando.
No,
He just lost power
Lost
I
power.
remember the Brazilian Grand Prix now.
on that 52.
I was sat on my mum's bed, and K-Mag and
Ouch.
Ricardo came together, and I literally started crying. She was like, "Baby, what's wrong?" I was like, "Daniel just crashed into K-Mag. My favorite time was out." She was like, "Stop crying. It's all right." I was screaming. I was like, they're both. And then I was like, Russell's in the lead. He could win. And she's asleep behind me. Like, she's fallen asleep. She had enough of me. I'm screaming about Daniel Ricciardo. And I think it was just like, I don't remember anything else because I was just so depressed about Daniel.
Mm.
And I think I just blocked us through it. So if you could fill me in, that'd be great. But yeah, depression central for McLaren fans. Not like we've been sad enough all season. Come and ruin our weekends like this. I don't have my McLaren merch with me because I was gonna burn it. But me and Zach can have friends, so it's not.
I just cry.
It's the golf livery merch as well, so like it's cheap. But yeah. So Kira, keep filling us in. What else happened?
Right. So it was a sprint weekend, so I'm just going to go in the order of my notes.
Go, just
that
go.
always makes sense in here.
It makes sense if you go through them.
I just want to also mention Hamilton finally got his Brazilian citizenship for that weekend.
Oh yeah, so that was like a cute little race for him, being like, "I'm Brazilian."
I was still confused. I am still confused about like the whole Brazilian. Like, how is Lewis a Brazilian citizen? Is it just because he likes Brazil? Don't really understand why he's got Brazilians. It's like me saying, I feel like, to me, this is how I think about it. It's like me going,
I'm American.
yeah, like I really like America. Let me just become joint citizenship in America. Like, I don't really understand it.
It's like honorary though. So like they offered it him, he didn't try and get it himself. They said, let's give you this citizenship, and he was like, okay. I'll
take that. If someone says to me I can be another
someone give me an honorary American citizenship then. I mean, I've called myself an honorary American, so
it confused me for a long time. I was like,
Trader Joe's.
Like, who is like, why would you be? I don't know. I don't know. It confused me, and maybe
Brazil must love him. I'll ask my Brazilian friend. I'll go, Duda, do you know who Lewis Hamilton is?
Would we hope so?
Even I knew Lewis before I got into the sport properly, because he's just so big and like not even just here, like everywhere.
Shall I even message her now?
Tangents in today's episode, I swear to God. This is just an episode of tangents. Like, we're not actually.
Oh, yeah. Right, so let me just swiftly move on. The quali was obviously P1 K-Mag, and then second was Max, third was Russell going into the sprint. But if you remember in Q3, Russell actually underbroke and beached his car, and it was a yellow flag, and then it eventually got a red flag, and then they started racing again. But obviously,
did Lewis do the same?
Pardon?
Did Lewis do the same thing after him?
I don't think so.
Or was that another race where they both
beached? How does it work?
That was another race. I think that was or something like that.
Dreaming of different races here.
Yeah, I feel bad for Russell because like he underbroke, but like he steered around to avoid going into the barrier. But then he beached himself in the gravel.
Because this was after LA, and he'd gone to Las Vegas, and he was doing donuts, so he thought, "Oh, let me do a donut to get out of here," and then beached himself. And I remember this because there's an interview that came up a few weeks ago, and I thought that was really cool information to have known back then. But like, I know, I feel like he did well enough, and I think it shows that he's still immature, like he's still learning how to properly have like a really good weekend. But he's there. He knows what to do. He knows how to win a race. He knows how to be basically the next Hamilton. So like, George, bring home the World Championship next year, please. We need one.
Okay, and then it goes into the sprint. There's not a lot really happening in quality apart from K-Mag being on pole, well, and then Russell. So the sprint was P1 Russell, P2 Sainz, and P3 Hamilton. On lap 1, we had an incident where Alonso and Ocon touched. I don't know if you guys remember that, but Alonso was forced wide by Ocon. And you know how
why
he's
it was like
on the radio and it's like, thanks to our friend.
I just love it
Obviously
when
referring to
if I
Ocon.
find the Ocon audio, I'll find
do
it. It's
love
saved
it.
on my TikTok somewhere.
I do love it
Love
at that
that.
point in the season because, like I was saying, at that point you have one race left. You have Abu Dhabi, and at this point, I think it was announced that Alonso was moving teams. So I think at this point, Alonso and Ocon aren't getting on. They ain't friends. They're enemies at this point. They're Red Bull, Zanny and Max style.
Oh, guys! Good news! I'm on 700 on TikTok.
Woo!
Hey!
But I think it just like shows how much drivers can sometimes be like friendly, but not, if that makes sense. Like we were saying in the last episode, not everything is friendly, and I think it truly shows that not everything we see online is what we get on track.
I found the audio. I don't know. Wait.
We can lose everything now. Also at the restart. Esteban, I don't want you fighting with Fernando. Is that understood? I need to pass Vettel now. I won't fight Fernando. That's fine. You can pass Vettel. I do not want you fighting Fernando. As long as that's clear.
I think it was funny as well.
Is that clear?
People were saying like, it was like telling your kids not to like kick each other when you're not in the room. And I think it's just so funny that like these people are grown men. They get paid millions of pounds to race cars, but they want to be the best. They want to be top of the class. They want to be first in everything. And I think it shows that like, I don't know. I think it's just juicy gossip. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's so much juicy gossip floating around the paddock. What next, Kira? Come on.
Well, talking about two teammates touching, there was an incident between Stroll and Vettel where Stroll forced Vettel wide onto the grass because he moved left but too late, and he was handed a 10-second penalty for a dangerous manoeuvre.
Again, don't remember this happening, but it sounds juicy enough. So
yeah, he had teammate dramas all over the place in the sprint.
I think at that point there is going to be drama because of like I say, you get to the end of the season, people want points, teams want points, drivers want points, drivers want to, I don't know, prove that they're like better than the other teammate. And I love the drama. It's all the drama. I just love it. I'm here for the drama. Jab to Survive gives me everything I need for the year.
Oh no. And then there was a yellow flag on lap 13 of the sprint race because Albon was out.
I don't remember this either.
I know, very sad. How do you not remember anything?
I honestly, I feel like that's when I went home to have a breakdown over uni. So that's probably
that's fair.
why I don't remember it.
Really?
That's fair.
It was the weekend. I was like, I can't do uni anymore. Went home, cried, and Daniel last. I was like, this is it. I'm done.
Really?
I guess at some point in the semester, okay, the semester one is rough. But this time it's rough. There's a lot happening, and I can't deal with it. And then Daniel goes and tells me he's not coming back. But yeah, don't remember much because I was at home crying over Daniel Ricciardo. Just like on the daily, you know, it's what it is.
Talking about Daniel, we are going to get onto the race now. We can all have our opinions on the double McLaren DNFs, but we'll get there in a minute. So in the race,
Don't break my feelings.
We just not
Russell
talk
won.
about it. Is that possible?
Hamilton
please.
second. So Mercedes actually did get a P1 when we was talking about that earlier.
Oh.
And third was Sainz. And lap 1 is when Daniel and K-Mag had a little incident, both obviously being taken out of the race. So do you guys want to?
I can't blame either driver because I love them both. So technically, it's no one's fault. It's the wind's fault for making them crash into each other. I blame I blame Zach Brown.
Oh my god.
Millie, make your mind up. Do you like Zach Brown or not?
I blame Nicholas Latifi for that situation. He was not involved in the crash, but I can't blame Daniel
It's
Ricciardo.
his vibes. It's Latifi's vibes.
Yeah, it was Latifi. Latifi just like influenced,
Sending bad vibes.
so it was Latifi's fault.
Jesus Christ.
Really?
I'm sorry, I can't blame either driver, Kira. You can't ask that. It's like saying
That's fine. That's fine.
Russell or Hamilton. Okay.
The commentators did in fact blame Russell, though. I can't remember.
They blamed Russell?
What channel I was. Daniel. With the K-Mag and Daniel.
What's fucking Russell got to do with this?
I said they blamed Ricciardo.
Oh, I thought you said to blame Russell. I was like,
Did I?
how dare they blame Ricciardo?
He did say Russell.
Yeah, I say you did. I wasn't going to.
I'm sorry, I was looking at like who won, and then I
He
was
was
like,
looking at Russell.
sorry, that's my apologies,
They
guys.
blame Ricciardo. Whoever
Yeah.
that is. Come on. Go home. We're not friends.
No.
So rude and disrespectful. Don't you dare disrespect the king, Daniel Ricciardo.
I can't remember if Daniel got a penalty for that.
You what?
I can't remember if Daniel got a penalty for that.
He did. He got a grid drop in Abu Dhabi.
Okay, there you go then.
When he did it in Abu Dhabi, it was shit because he had to have a penalty. Because K-Mag drove into him.
Thought we weren't playing either of them, really.
Millie's like, you want to fight?
Look, anyone disses about Daniel Ricciardo and I'm
That's fair, that's fair.
pulling my backhand.
We will get to the Norris, but that was that 52, and I've got to go in chronological order, my guys. So lap 7, I feel like this is going to be beef between me and Millie, but Hamilton and Max did have their little incident.
I honestly feel like I half remember this, half don't.
Okay.
I think I'd call it a racing incident. Like, I know that I can just say racing incident because I'm a Max fan, but I think things like that do happen, and they do just happen. I think this one was a case of, I do think if anyone was to be to blame, I would say Hamilton, because I think Max gave him enough space. Like, I've seen on boards. If I ever want to have an opinion on a battle, I will watch several on boards. I'll watch every camera I possibly can. And his onboard was him just driving into the corner. He gave Hamilton enough space. It was a dangerous move, correct, but I think Hamilton could have done more to maybe go a bit wider and potentially not take Max out. But I'm not going to say it was a great move by Max either. I think he should have maybe waited a few extra laps or a few like extra car lengths. I think it wasn't space, but I think Lewis could have made space so that it could have been a safer situation. So I'm not going to blame either driver. Again, racing incident.
Well, Max got 5 seconds for that, and he did pick up a little bit of wing damage. But I think I would have to agree with a racing incident, because to start off with, Max was in front, but then Hamilton got in front, and the reason why Max had the 5 seconds, because at the time that they did touch, Hamilton was slightly in front. But yeah, I would have to agree with the racing incident. And
I think they do happen. Like, I hate people who say racing incidents don't happen. Racing incidents happen all the time. Every race, there'll be an incident where someone will go into someone else, or like 2 people will come into each other, or I don't know, like just something will happen. You can't honest to God, say that every incident is blame one person more than the other. These are drivers. They drive for a living. They know what they're doing. But sometimes incidents happen. It's like when you crash on a road, you don't instantly go and blame someone, do you? Or you're like, I don't know, that was probably the best analogy. You're like, if you, I like that.
No comment. No comment. No comment.
This one.
Yeah, I just want to say that Hayley's the only driver here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually crashed my car.
This is why
I wrote it off.
Princess forever. get
I
heated.
am learning how to drive, but we'll see.
I'm not learning to drive.
Don't crash it is my advice. Don't crash it. It's expensive.
I'm living in central London. I don't
But
need a
if you
car.
do, just cry to the police and they won't give you any points or
Okay.
or a fine.
Fair.
Just be like, I'm
I
so
think this should
sorry.
be a
I
thing
didn't
on this
mean
podcast. We
to."
definitely should be talking about this.
Yeah,
But I do
It was like
feel-
literally last year, so
okay.
it was
Fine.
nearly been a year.
Oh
Oh,
my
I
god.
do
The anniversary of the
feel-
crash.
I'll go back to the place. Selfie.
I do feel like racing incidents are a thing, and they have happened
Mhm.
several times, not just this season, in last season, season before that, season before that. Like, it happens all the time, and I think people need to get used to it happening, because it's never not going to happen. There's always going to be an incident where someone crashes into someone else, and I don't know, there's drama. So I feel like we need to get used to now calling things racing incidents, even when it's Max and Lewis. Because I know some of you, you're like, oh yeah, but it's Max's fault, it's Lewis's fault. Stop being toxic, fan. It was a racing incident. But yeah, Karen, Kira.
Yeah, I'm going to swiftly move on from that. On lap 7 again, just after Hamilton and Max's incident, Charles made contact with Norris and he actually ended up in the barrier but somehow managed to stay in the race. Don't know how he managed that one, but he did finesse the system.
Bit tired
who
there,
did?
Millie. Bit tired.
I am.
Yeah, you look at it.
Ignoring me. So who crashed and stayed out? Charles or Norris?
Charles and Norris had contact. Charles went into the barrier, but he managed to like save it enough to where he could still continue to race.
I don't remember this.
I don't think you remember Brazil, do you, darling?
I remember Ricardo and Magnussen. And that was it. And I remember the Max and Lewis thing, but I don't remember that. Maybe I was in the toilet
Maybe. You
I feel
need
like
to
Thomas
break
levels
every now
are
and again.
as well.
I don't know. I don't watch him still.
I don't know.
That's rude.
I
Also,
don't either.
Really rude from both of you. How dare
2
you?
against 1.
You are Brits.
I've got better things to watch, like F1.
It wasn't on. It started literally when F1 ended. So like it was the perfect substitute on a Sunday night to watch a bit of I'm Celeb.
Well, then I was on my bus home,
Well, you're boring.
going past, taking a diversion past Windsor Castle. It was really random.
But like, I don't know. No, I don't remember this, but I feel like if Charles managed to carry on, I don't know. I feel like we've not talked much about Charles. I'm gonna call him Charles. I feel like it's rude to call him Charles. He's not
I'll just say Charles because I'm just English.
What's his full name? Like Charles Percival.
Yeah.
Leclerc.
I mean, he did do
Leclerc.
an interview and said, like, he doesn't really care how people pronounce his name, so I'm just going to go with Charles.
I think it's rude. It's like coming to another country and disrespecting someone's name. I feel like I want to slap someone if they pronounce my name.
I say Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It is what it is.
Either way, we're not saying drama here.
No drama.
Charles.
We haven't spoken about him a lot, but I think
Mm.
given what Ferrari have given him to get P2 in the championship and to be fighting Paris for the very last second,
Mhm.
and to get as many podiums and wins and poles as he got, very impressive.
Mhm.
Like I've got to respect the man. I respect the man.
That's why he's one of my faves. We love
I do
Charles
think
Leclerc.
Ferrari need to fix themselves. You know,
wait, what even is
Charles-
the national anthem? I forgot.
I don't know. I don't listen to it, mate.
You listen to it at London Prix.
No, I was too busy looking at Max Verstappen winning.
You were shouting at me saying to stop singing because you were like, "Oh, Max won." I was like, "Shut up, let me have my moment here." And then that girl behind us was like, "I am stupid," and then I was like, "Are you calling me stupid?" It's like, what? A bit rude. Don't know who you are, but okay.
But no, I think we haven't spoken much about Charles, but I think he's done a lot with what he's got. And I think Ferrari really needs to like take that into next year and be like, this is what we're working with. Let's build it up. Because they could have a championship winning car in their hands with with both Charles and Carlos. Because let's not forget, Carlos won in Silverstone, given all those things that were going wrong at the time. He's got several podiums, poles, things like that this year. So I feel like Carlos and Charles could be a winning team if Ferrari give them the right car and the right strategy. So that's
It'll
what
be
I'm gonna say.
interesting without Binotto next year to see what happens.
Because I think you have to build a rapport with your team. And like, yeah, you've got the whole summer or the winter technically to do that. But I just think it's going to be hard because Mathieu was with the company for so long. Like, he knew every person inside out. He was there from like, I think he was there for like 20 years or something, wasn't he?
I think he started in 1995
Okay,
as
if
an
you started
engineer.
90 something, then you're there for a while.
Yeah.
So like, considering he's been there for so long, I mean, fair enough, he left. There a lot happened this year. But I think it's going to be hard to see another driver or another like team boss take over, because I don't know how other people are gonna fare, or like how the team's gonna fare. But like, once again, we've got a fucking course. We keep doing this.
We have.
Right, so Charles and Lando crash into each other. What happens next?
Then it's Norris losing power and the double McLaren DNFs. So I think we spoke about that enough. But if you guys have anything else to add on that, because I know we're both very passionate about
I'll
that.
just cry.
Please sort your life out, because
Me?
no, I said
It's like, why are you all
Please
being
sort my life
so
out.
mean to me today? What have I done to deserve this?
I'm honestly so tired. Honestly. Right. What happened next? Moving on
The
from
last, and I think the biggest thing to come out of Brazil is Max not letting Perez in front. And then people saying it's because of Monaco. So I think we need to dive into that quite deeply, because personally I have a lot to say about it.
I got things to say.
I think Millie should start.
I mean, everyone who I was with was just like, shut up, Max. Just shut up.
I always start these discussions, but I feel like I have a lot to say, so everyone always normally agrees with what I say.
Yeah.
I do feel like Monaco was a sticky situation. I've seen, again, I only talk about things I know things about. I've seen a lot of videos based on what Checo's clutch, brake, accelerator, all that kind of stuff, what that was happening at the time when he crashed in Monaco, why Checo could have crashed in Monaco and what kind of thing that would have benefited him with, like all that stuff. And after some intense research, days of research,
Intense.
spend my days researching F1. That is a life of fun. No, after doing some research, I think it was suspicious, should we say the least. I think Perez's crash was very suspicious, because actually, about a minute before he crashed, he kind of like, I can't remember what it's called, but it's a thing where you press the accelerator and come off the accelerator, like you kind of do this with your accelerator.
Right.
Like, he was kind of playing about with it, and then like he kind of physically broke in the car, like he kind of like broke the car, kind of, if that makes sense. And there's a lot of evidence to say that he did actually crash the car on purpose. And to people saying, why would he do that? First of all, it's Monaco. If you're on pole in Monaco, you're probably going to win in Monaco, because it's near enough.
Monaco.
It's not impossible. It's not impossible to overtake in Monaco, but it's very unlikely that you're going to overtake in Monaco. There's like 2 overtaking chances, and either of them are very quite slim. So I think Checo could have done that to get a win, and I think Max then, after, obviously with Max not letting him get past, I think Max was salty, which I would be too if my teammate just decided to randomly crash into all over my qualifying lap. You know, because Max could have wrapped up the championship so much sooner if that wouldn't have happened. I do think Max had every right to be annoyed at Checo for the situation. But I think I feel like it's a bit of, oh, he said, she said, like a bit of tittle tattle between the two drivers. And I can see a Ricardo Max situation happening again. But yeah, that's my take. Perez ruined it. So Max ruined his race in Brazil.
Okay, so I thought we was going to have the same opinion, but we actually have different opinions on this one.
Oh.
To some extent, I don't think personally Monaco was done on purpose on Perez's part. You know, you've done the intense research, so maybe you know more than me. But my personal opinion, I don't think it would have been done on purpose. But obviously, I ain't gonna know. Only Perez is gonna know that.
Yeah. And probably his Red Bull team.
Oh yeah, and that. And I don't think they're ever gonna tell us if that was on purpose or not.
Please do.
Still the tea. But I just think if it was done on purpose, yes, Verstappen had a reason to be salty, but I don't think he should have let it affect Perez, because as we said in last episode, Perez has done a lot for Verstappen, helping him out with both of his championships, defending against Hamilton last season, because obviously remember Hamilton was very close to Max last year, not so much this year, unfortunately. It actually, you know, was like Max can go in front of Perez if he can take the cars in front of him. He did have a bit of damage from the Hamilton incident, so he couldn't actually overtake them. And it was said that he should have given the place back if he couldn't take the cars in front. So, but then also it's like you've wrapped up the championship. You are this year's champion, so you could have just helped your teammate, who, as we've said before, helped you out a lot to just secure P2, because that would have been even better for Red Bull.
And I think on that point, like, I see it, but I think if someone ruined my race, I'm gonna ruin their race.
Yeah, but as teammates, I think that's a little bit like you should kind of put the team first. In
Am
my
I racing
opinion,
for my team or racing for myself? Okay, am I getting money if
a bit of both.
I'm
Bit
racing
of
for
both.
myself personally, because if he does badly, it reflects on me. Do you know what I mean? I feel like F1 is very much a team game, but also a driver game. And if I'm in F1, I'm playing the driver game. This is
but I thought Verstappen matured so much this season. But for him to then be salty about a race that happened many, many, many weeks ago, to me just proves that he hasn't necessarily matured as much as I thought that he had.
But
because I get being salty, but like be salty, yeah, but do you really need to affect your teammate that much because of it? Because as I said, I personally don't think Perez did that on purpose.
But let's just remember, we don't know if Max said no to letting Perez pass because of Monaco. Again, that's speculation. The only thing we heard, the only thing we know, is that Max said no to Checo coming past. He said, I've already told you guys, not happening. We don't know why that happened. That could have been because, there's a plethora of reasons. Once again, we only see what F1 decide that we are allowed to see. They only allow us to hear what they allow us to hear. And they only let us see what the PR agents allow us to see. So anything could have happened behind the scenes 20 minutes ago before the race started. So I don't know. I don't really understand what happened. But I think if it was to do with Monaco, it was very childish, very petty, very immature. But if not, I want to know why and how it happened. Give me the tea. Give me the tea.
Yes.
Now. Hayley, any opinions?
I don't know.
She's like, I just know McLaren. She's like, I just know Lando.
I mean, to be fair, we probably said everything that Hayley agrees with, so we kind of left her hanging there, haven't we?
I just provide the banter to this podcast. I don't know anything that's going on, okay?
I just think we need to know the full story before people can start to obviously speculate properly. Obviously, we can speculate as much as we want to, but we will never, I don't think we'll ever know the full true story. Like with the cost cap, we'll never know the full true story as to what happened with that. Smells something's burning in here. That is good. All right, well, that's that. That's that, guys. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to talk about with Brazil. I feel like that's the piece de resistance, as they say.
I don't think I've ever spoke this much in a podcast episode, and I'm sweating.
It's fun to talk, but every episode I edit, it's just me talking the whole way, and I'm like, Hayley, Kira, give me something. just here talking by myself. Like,
I save my talking for the voice notes.
guys.
Literally.
Yeah. Haley sends us
But then
like
mine are like nothing to do with
she
F1 and
sends
it's
us
just
like
random
5-minute voice
rampage.
notes about like work or something. Hold on, let me see if I can find them because she sends us absolutely like look. I send some, or like they're like 1-minute ones, or like.
And then I go on a rampage.
And me
I'm
and
just
Kira
like,
were having a
oh.
conversation and voice note last night, and it was about what we were talking about. We were talking about something. We were having a discussion, and Haley just comes along and just gives us like some 10-minute long voice note, and I'm like, Haley, come you not? Look here. She said like, oh, hold on. Did you tell me that up? So I know she's what the other thing was. So like she sent like okay, so these are like little ones that she's not sent in, but like she sent other ones in. I can't find any long ones that you sent in now. A
bet
minute
I can find
18. Why?
I just have a lot to talk about that sometimes isn't F1. And
related at any
I-
point.
I don't have anyone else to share my feelings with. So
Also,
I can't lie, I've actually had to mute the group chat settings because it was going off that much.
that is so funny. I want to quickly show you my favorite picture that I've seen so far this year. Okay, just
Okay.
quickly.
Oh.
oh yes.
My favorite picture, and if none of you know,
Beautiful.
these are my favorite Formula E drivers all together having a little meeting. I love it. I just love it. And I feel like Formula E just gives you this content. No Formula One drivers give me this content. Formula E drivers give me this content. Like these two are together.
Orlando.jpg does.
No, but not like this. With the same people.
Oh no.
Like this is content I want. I need this content. I need Lando staring lovingly into Daniel's eyes, and I need Lando and Carlos to be hugging each other. Like this picture just gives you so much, and I never get this from F1. So thank you, Formula E, and then Antonio Felix da Costa. Genuinely smells like burnt toast in here. Don't know what is going on.
Are you having a stroke? Isn't that like if you smell burnt toast, don't you get like a stroke or something?
What?
Maybe flatmates are cooking, I don't know.
I'm probably burning.
No, there's like literally something that if you start smelling burnt toast, like
I smell burnt toast all the time in this bloody flat because my toaster it does smell like burnt toast.
Yeah, someone's probably cooking then.
Someone's probably
you need to shout out the door, who's cooking?
Again, we got really distracted this episode.
We need to wrap this up. We had 3 minutes.
But I feel like that's going to bring the end to this episode. We have one more to catch up to the end of the season, which is Abu Dhabi episode, which we may film during the week, just me and Kira. We may wait till the weekend to film all 3 of us. Don't really know.
Should be 4, but as we said, Grace nowhere to be found.
Yeah, we
Oh, yeah.
can get Grace on, but Grace is too busy doing other things.
She's literally been in 1 episode so far. One.
This is the 6th episode we filmed, and she's been in it for 1. So
I promise you, we do put it in the group chat.
yeah,
she just doesn't
she's in our
respond
group
to
chat.
us.
I don't think I've spoken to her in so long. I was in her live
no.
this week,
Yeah.
so she lost her then, but I didn't. But yeah, I feel like this wraps up the episode. You'll get an Abu Dhabi episode from us very, very soon. And we do have some plans, some videos for the winter months, because you know there's going to be nothing really happening on screen unless it's like Formula E or IndyCar. So there is content coming. We just need to plan it because we're all busy people. We all do stuff. Haley's really busy in the weeks because she has work, but I'm busy on weekends because of uni. So, and Kira's just always free.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be back next week. Or probably not next week, probably at some point this week with Abu Dhabi to end up and round off the season. So we'll see you then.